Greetings once again, Gentleman Jim here, over on this side, and that is
Victoria Baylor, dressmaker, over on the left side. How are you guys?
and we have a special guest today.
That we do.
We have Mr. Sterling from Texas. This is the gentleman, and I have been displaying his work for the past couple of weeks that has come to study with me from Texas.
Well, if you've been like me, we've been enjoying watching Sterling's adventures. He seems like he has advanced superbly as a tailor himself. And we're here to just ask him some questions, get some of his insights and his experience that he had working with Mr. Jim. Because he seems like a very brilliant sewer, and we'd like to know more about him. Hey. Okay, Mr. Jim, do you want to start by asking some questions?
I've been talking to him all week.
Okay, well, okay then. Well, I'm curious. I intentionally did not talk to you because I was saving, I guess, all the good barrage of questions for last. But what brought you to the decision to come and work with Mr. Jim?
Well, I've come from a family business. We dug water wells for, we've been in business since over 50 years, so since about 1964, 62.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, we've been in business a long time, and a year and a half ago our business got really slow, and I was mutual decision between me and my dad. I'm third generation in this business. I had to leave it in order to save the business, basically, because the business was so slow we couldn't support two houses.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm working 500 miles from home, but actually leaving the business, it allowed me to, because my dad said I never had to come back if I never wanted to, so, which is kind of cool. So I started thinking, well, if I don't have to come back, what can I do for a living? Since I'm working 500 miles from the house now. So.
Wow.
And I've been sewing for many years now, almost 10 years I guess, and I love it so much that I think that's what I want to do when I retire from this oil field company that I'm working with now.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive. So what started you 10 years ago with sewing?
Well, my wife's been sewing since she was a kid, and my neighbor, I never had a grandfather because all my grandparents passed away. My grandfather's passed away when I was real young or before I was born. Mm-hmm. This guy, he had like a junk, to him it wasn't junk, it was like treasures. It was like a little flea market kind of thing out of his house. But he specialized in rebuilding featherweight Singer sewing machines.
Oh, wow.
That's what he really specialized in. And when he passed away, they had all these sewing machines up for sale, and a lot of them were already asked for and all this stuff, but I bought my wife about 12 to 14 sewing machines, and a lot of them need to be fixed. So in order for me to fix it, I'm very mechanically inclined. I can fix just about anything.
Oh, wow.
So in order to learn to fix the machine, I learned how to use it. So, and that's how my adventure at sewing got started.
Well, it's funny because you could have just stopped at just fixing machines. So
Yeah.
it didn't even have to progress. So what about sewing intrigued you?
I don't know, I just like building things with my hands. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be woodworking, I've done blacksmithing, I've done all types of things. I don't know, it's just the pleasure of building something, and if it's for someone else, seeing the smile on their face whenever it's finished.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I'm really impressed with Sterling. And I think Mr. Jim and I have talked before about the importance of having your gifts and knowing what your gifts are, and the fact that you were you just had magical hands, and you decided to give it a try in another arena. Now, so the sewing arena is usually populated mostly by women. How has that made you feel kind of transitioning into?
I grew up with all sisters, so I'm comfortable around women.
Okay, so Sterling's like probably the best husband in the world. He's the most sensitive man on the planet.
I'm the only active male member in the quilt guild there in Victoria. So I'm around a bunch of women. Well, now with the new job, I rarely ever get to make meetings. But when I did go to meetings, I was the only male there.
I see, and it's really cool because I like your look too. You seem really kind of hip. I love the artwork and kind of like your style, and it's just neat. It just shows that sewing, the field isn't really just about old grandmas anymore. Not that anything wrong, we love our grandmas, we love art, we do, but it's just there's a whole different dynamic. So what about this field, what is it that you bring to it that's kind of like your unique, fresh perspective?
well, this hat I didn't make, but I make these hats. Jim's got
Oh,
one.
wow.
I made him,
Yeah.
which he can go grab.
When I first started corresponding with Sterling, he sent me pictures of his hats. And I was impressed with that.
Now, do you have one handy? We'd love to
Yes.
see it.
I sure
Okay,
do.
And I got a kilt in my
Y'all
truck.
excuse
Oh, wow.
me
Okay,
one
well, we're going to
second.
take a quick break and grab Okay, so we're back to look at Mr. Sterling's handiwork and all his wonderful sewing. So Mr. Jim here is modeling one of Sterling's caps. Now, tell us a little bit about that cap.
That's it's
Is
based
that your
off.
signature
Well,
style?
I've always liked the flat top cap, or the 5-panel, 6-panel, or even 8-panel caps, like you see in the show, like Peaky Blinders. It's on Netflix and stuff like that. Yep,
Favorite show.
that was actually like a 6-panel. I think theirs is mostly 5-panel that he wears.
Uh-huh.
But they're all based off the 1920s. All those hats were made in the same era.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's cool about his hat, learning these tailoring techniques, there's no one out there that has a list instructions on how to make traditional hat brims.
Oh, wow.
Because all those hats, they were flimsy hat brims. Like you can look at it, it's real soft and flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the way I designed that was some techniques that I learned on making the suit.
Oh, wow. So it seems like you have the ingenuity to just kind of know how to go in and just make things work. Okay, you have something in your lap. What is this?
This is a kilt that I made.
Oh, wow. All the
It's-
fancy pleating.
Yeah, it's box pleated, and all the pleats are top stitched, and it's two-toned, basically.
Oh, that's neat.
So it took about 3 times as long to make as you would do a standard kilt that's all one color.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Now, what was the purpose of making this garment?
well, I had one and I gave it away because I used to be more corpulent, I guess. I was about 255 pounds, and I gave it away to a friend of mine, which he was the skinny one and I was the big one, and he got really sick, and now he's the big one and I'm the skinny one. So I gave him his kit, gave him my kilt that I made.
And did you say you worked the Renaissance Festival?
Yes, I worked one season there. I was like an assistant blacksmith,
Uh-huh.
but I did all types of blacksmith stuff there in Victoria too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But my forge has burned out since then.
So this love for sewing kind of brought you here to Mr. Jim. So what has your experience been like? And first of all, how long have you been here? I think, are you the longest trained, Mr. Jim? Is he
Just
the
about.
longest trained person with you?
Just about.
Okay.
My class started the
Yeah, I
6th.
had the gentleman from Ohio. Remember Ken?
Yes, I remember him.
Ken
With
was
the guitar?
about the same time, right?
That's right, I remember Ken.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So
But,
how long was that? A few weeks?
Yeah,
Okay.
same thing.
I've been here
Okay.
since the 6th. Well,
And
class-
Sterling has been here over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
class
Yeah,
started
over
on the
2
6th, and it'll either wrap up probably today or tomorrow.
Yes,
Yeah.
going back to Texas. Like I tell you people, everybody say, oh, you're so far. If he can come from Texas, and Ken can come from Ohio, and I had a lady from North Dakota,
Mm-hmm.
it's your sacrifice towards what your gain will be in learning, because in life it's your commitment. You know, we talk about this all the time. I'm going to open a second workshop in Atlanta, Georgia, in the next couple of months, but that's not going to stop me or take me away from Savannah. I'm just going to have 2 locations where I'm going to train. But the sacrifices in life that we make are what we want to get out of life. Otherwise, everybody stays pat. And the comments that I have been getting on what Sterling has done for the things that I have posted blows people's mind. But Sterling will tell you, like he told me, it's not as hard as he thought.
Once you get it memorized, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
The first day or 2 was like a fog.
Mhm.
It was just an overload of information. But
You know, but once you get, like I say, the technique, it's a technique more so than physical sewing. The sewing plays a part. You guys know what I always say: straight stitching, zippers, and pockets.
That's true.
Well, he had to handle all of those in that first suit. That's the first full suit that he made. That
That's
I've
a
been
big
posting.
project. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. That's a huge project to jump into your first day. So we commend you for that.
my first sewing project, most people make pillowcases or, you know, simple little things. My first project was making one of these hats.
Okay. Yeah, with all the curvature and stuff like that, that's a little bit
Mhm.
more.
Oh yeah, that was a pain in the butt.
Mhm.
Is-
So, you know, so all in all, we've enjoyed each other. We bounce things off of each other. Telling him what's the better areas to go in, and then he tells me some things that I didn't know, that I'm into now. See? So in communication, you never lose sight of what you might learn, and we should learn something out of every experience that we get into. So I'm a happy man.
So Sterling, how many articles did you sew in these 2 weeks? So what are you taking home with you?
These 2 weeks.
Knowledge-wise and physically, what are you
Well,
taking?
we made the coat, made a waistcoat or vest, and we also made a pair of pants with slacks.
That's right.
And then right now I altered a coat, and I'm working on this pair of pants.
Okay. And when you say it alters, he has already learned how to narrow the lapels on a jacket. Because like I was telling them, for those of you guys who have alteration businesses, the new look is the trimmer look. And there are a lot of jackets that have wider lapels that could just be narrow and updated. Now, a lot of pants have pleats, but they want the flat front. Right now, Sterling is on removing pleats out of pants and making flat fronts. He's already learned how to do the shoulders, now the shoulders. So those are, and shorten the coat. And shorten the coat. These are some of the alteration things that people could save a garment. Shortening the coat, narrowing lapels, narrowing the shoulder caps, the lapels, the shortening, and removing the pleat. You can update a suit by doing those 4 things. Now, all of them don't have to have the coat shortened, but when you narrow the lapels and you narrow the shoulders and you take the pleats out, you bring that suit right up into today's look, is what they're wearing. And that look's going to last for a long time. I think that baggy, sloppy look is over with, at least for the next 20 years. Well, in 20 years, I don't really care one way or another.
No more zoot suits.
Yeah.
So you also have patterns, like specific for you, correct? So not only
Yes.
did you get to make the garments, you get to take home the patterns, which is.
Yes.
So what do you plan on doing with those?
Well, like, I gotta practice to learn what, to master what I've learned here, and eventually I'll be able to, whatever path I choose in this, I'll be able to use those patterns as a base, you know, for making garments for other people, and drafting larger patterns or smaller patterns and whatnot.
And I love your way of thinking about things, of just getting, because a lot of people deprive themselves of experience, and they just think it won't be relatable to anything else. But technically in the sewing world, I think the upper echelon of tailoring techniques is completely applicable to even the rest of the sewing you do,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you can take those same techniques and use them in some capacity to upgrade your sewing. Even if you decide not to do
Yeah.
suits, you can do something else.
And all the hand sewing, it was just second nature to me, because all the quilting I've done,
Oh,
you know,
well, you're a pro.
because I do the hand binding around the quilts,
Ooh.
and that's the same thing as the felling stitch that we were doing. I mean, it's just the exact same thing. It's just we just called it something else.
How does your wife feel about your adventures and
Well,
sewing?
they were down here with me for most of it, but first day of school's today, so they had to leave early to go home. But they loved it, and she's all excited. It's gonna be a big adventure.
Well, that's awesome. So what advice would you give to, I guess, the viewers in regard to stepping out of your comfort zone? Because I mean, goodness,
Yeah.
I don't know if you give yourself that much credit,
This
but
is
it
a
takes
big
a big step. I know, it's huge.
A friend of mine, he's like, in order to be rich, you have to invest in yourself. That's something that he says
Absolutely.
a lot. That's one of his little slogans. You know,
Very true.
I'm not here to be a millionaire. I'm just here. I just want to do what I love and make a comfortable living at it, no matter what the price range is.
Mhm.
You know? So, you got to take the step, or you'll just be stuck in a rut for the rest of your life. And then one day you're going to think back, well, maybe I should have tried that.
So do you feel like, and you know, well, it's funny that you said that, and I love the way you said it, because a lot of us are just one big project on the other side of being able to do other things. And it's not so much about focusing on the project itself. That project is like a gateway to other things. Because there's a lot of people that fear sewing pants, they fear sewing a jacket, like they won't try it, they're terrified. But if they just learn to do it like the right way and get it done, like you said, it's not as bad as like we all think in our minds.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you actually learn and grow, and then you're like, if I can do that, I can do so many other things.
I think if you can sew a coat, you can make anything. A men's coat, you can
Pretty
make
much.
anything. It's like in music. If you can play jazz, you can play any style of
I
music.
never thought of it that way. That's a neat analogy.
Because I'm a musician, so.
Good God, what else? Do you bake and and grow things as well?
I do all that
Good
stuff.
God. Well, you've seen it first. Sterling's going to end up with his own YouTube show. Now, how do we get in contact with you? Or, you know, how do we, for some people, they might stalk you, so just be
Yeah.
careful.
Oh.
Don't put your number out there. But
It's,
are you on social media?
yeah, I'm
or-
on Facebook and I'm on Instagram, but now we've discussed, I'm probably going to start working on, main thing working is the hats.
That's what I was
You know,
wondering. So how do
so
we get your hats?
I don't have a site made for that yet. You just have to reach me on Facebook.
Okay,
So,
okay.
because I got my page set to where you can follow me, because I used to have long hair down on the waist and beard down here last
Oh,
year.
yeah. I saw those pictures.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw those pictures. I couldn't believe this is the same gentleman.
So I used to have people that would like just, people who like long hair, I know, they would just try to befriend me on Facebook. So I set my page where you can follow me
Uh-huh.
now. So if I get flooded with a bunch of friend requests, you know, I'm like, well, just follow me.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. It is.
But once I get a page set up strictly for my sewing and all that stuff, then it'll be way easier.
And when he does, we will give our looking and viewing audience his listing.
That's right.
He's in Texas. Now, all you gals that came up from Texas, Sterling's in Texas with you too.
You met him here first.
Yeah, yeah. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to us once again. We're honored to have Sterling here
Absolutely.
to be able to share his experiences, not necessarily with me, but about life and what he does. And as we always say, don't limit yourself to what you can do, but you take this as a catalyst and you do other things. Because he told me, from some of the things that he learned in sewing, he got ideas about doing his cap.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
All you can do is just try it.
That's
You're
it.
not really at anything, because if you don't try it, you've already failed.
There you go.
So
That's true. And it sounds like with all your history of the things you were good at, I imagine if you'd never picked up like the Blackfoot Smith hammer, you would have never known. If you'd never picked up a quilt, you would have never known. But before we close, what drives you to try things like that? I'm just curious.
I just like learning new things. It's just, I don't know, it's just part of my nature, I guess. This has been a great experience, meeting you and working with you and everything, because I learned a lot.
Thank you, thank you.
Not just in sewing, just in life, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
from what you've experienced in life, it's been, I can't
It's been a
describe it.
good experience.
So it's definitely worth the investment?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. Well, I think that wraps up our show.
Yeah, okay. Gentleman Jim the Tailor.
Victoria Baylor, dressmaker,
Sterling Lynch,
sewing extraordinaire.
the Renaissance man.
Exactly.
So we'll see you guys again.
Bye.
Okay.